Hi, this video is just a quick one to continue looking at the use of variable identifiers or meaning identifier names. This one in particular, we're talking about using variable identifiers to show the data types and also to use standard conventions, and that enhances readability. Okay, so essentially all we're talking about is consistency. I think I have mentioned it before, but if we've got a variable here, what we could do, we've got this all in lowercase, so then all our variables should be in lowercase. We've got all our constants in uppercase, then all our constants should be in uppercase. Now what we could do with the variables as well is something called camel casing, where you might put the first word has a lowercase beginning initial letter. The second word, we have an uppercase letter for the first letter of the word, and so on for each following letter of the word. If we're going to do that once, we should do it all the way through to make the program easier to read. All right, on every variable, and this would follow through for each of these. So we would do the same throughout and as so. Right, I'll just undo those now so it doesn't mess up my program in the future. The other thing I want to talk about is showing the data types within your variable names or your variable identifiers. So this data type, obviously we know this is an integer here, but what we could do is put the word int in the variable name so that we know that these are ints, and then we might introduce camel casing again to make it a bit easier to read. It's totally up to the situation. You might find some businesses would have a certain way to do this and a certain convention to do this, and that means that every program in that business would have to follow a similar convention to this. Obviously, if one of these was a string, then we might write something different than int. Obviously, we would write something different than int. We would write maybe something like str, so that we know that that variable is a string. That means that later on, when we're using this, obviously we couldn't have 0 there. Later on, when we're using this, if we wanted it as a string, just put that in there. Later on, when we're using that variable, if we're assigning anything to that variable and it wasn't a string or done in a string, then we know we're making a mistake. So it's another reason how it improves maintainability and enhances readability within your programs. So that's it for this video. I hope it helps, and hopefully see you again soon in the future.